Hi, this is Alex Navas from the Christian Business Academy, and I'm really happy about today. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the Christian Business Academy show, where we interview great experts, people that are doing a great work through their business and impacting lives in a great way. At the Christian Business Academy, we work on four key areas. We work on encouraging, educating, equipping, and empowering Christian businesses and professionals to get out there, use their business to create a great life, but more importantly, reach more people. And today I'm really pleased because we have a great interview in store for you. And if you've ever wondered what the purpose in your life is or the purpose behind your business, then today is something you really need to listen closely to because the person we have today in this interview is with Jory Fisher of Jory Fisher and Associates, and she has a very good gift and skill of helping people identify what their core purpose is. And so, Jory, I'm really excited to have you on here today. I know we've engaged, we've had a couple conversations over time, and we've been on a couple panels. And every time that I speak to you, there's something exciting going on in your business and, more importantly, your life. So I'm so glad you're able to join us today.
Thank you, Alex. I was just delighted when you invited me. I mean, the Christian Business Academy is emerging and new and exciting, and for me to be one of your early on guests is a real privilege. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get started, Jory. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what's the story behind your business? What made you start your business to begin with, or what's your business experience been like?
Okay, I started in 2008, and my life is such that if you had told me that I was going to be an entrepreneur, I would have said no way. I mean, for me, entrepreneur conjured up images of Henry Ford and the great men from the 20th century, and I just wouldn't have ever thought that I would be going out into business on my own. But what happened was I'd been enjoying a really successful, wonderful, productive legal career, and then was invited to help be a founding faculty member of Liberty University School of Law, which is a Christian law school in Lynchburg, Virginia, which is where I was living. And I was just thrilled to be able to be on the ground floor of that and get that up and going well. We're all accredited by the American Bar Association. Everything was going great. And then I discovered, Alex, that I had a hole in my heart. And I mean that figuratively as well as literally. It was really a miracle that I was still alive, because it was they call it a significant atrial septal defect. And I had that repaired. And I just remember the cardiologist wheeling me in to the procedure room and telling me that, well, God obviously has a plan for your life. And it really affected me and affected my husband. And I had been thinking about the possibility of going out on my own as a coach. I was in the process of being certified as a life coach. But frankly, I was afraid to do that because, A, I had no real business experience. Sure, I'd been a lawyer, but I hadn't gone out and started my own business per se. And my husband and I have 7 children between us who were already in college, or we knew they were on their way to college, and we did not have a lot of money saved up or anything like that. So it was, I admit, with a little bit of fear and trepidation that I submitted my resignation to the law school. I'd been there 5 years, I believe, and went out on my own. So I started as a certified life coach, and oh my gosh, it's just been quite a journey, but it's been wonderful. It's been full of challenges, and that's why I can relate so well to people who are starting out in their own businesses.
That's great. It's interesting that you said that as you were starting your business, there was a lot of fear associated to it, because that really applies to a lot of Christians that want to go out and venture on their own. I mean, even looking for a job, sometimes there's some fear behind that. But I've been in business. I've had several businesses over the last 12 or 13 years, and anytime I start a new business, there's something about that fear. So how did you work beyond that? Because we all have that fear is the reality. It wasn't just your experience, Jory. We all have that fear. How did you break through that? How did you just decide, hey, you know what, despite this, despite the way I feel, all these thoughts that I have right now, they're overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
something that I want to do, which is much bigger than the fear, right? And that will go into your role in that the work with people's purpose. And I think that's a good
Mhm.
segue. Is really starts with overcoming some of that fear.
It does. And what happened with me is I realized at early on how important it is to be a part of a vital community. And my coach training was started out by Chris McCluskey, and he is the founder and president now of the Professional Christian Coaching Institute. So I was able to get a good Christian foundation to my coach trainings and know a lot of wonderful Christian coaches. So that was helpful. The
Mm.
next thing I did, however, is I wasn't feeling fully equipped as quote unquote just a life coach. I was used to being an expert in a field, i.e., law, and now to be an expert in a process, not anything substantive, if you understand what I mean, was unsettling to me. And so then
Mm.
I thought, okay, well, I love career. Anything having to do with careers, and so I'll get certified as a career coach. And that was wonderful too. I found another awesome community through Susan Whitcomb and the academies, and I became certified as a Christian career coach. So that was giving me more credibility, I guess, or confidence in myself that I knew what I was doing, because it's really difficult, and I know I'm not alone,
Mm.
to be kind of at the top of your game in one field, and whether by choice or because perhaps you lose your job, all of a sudden you're in a new area. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that much experience with that, Alex, because it sounds like you just had entrepreneur um, in your as part of your birthright, you know, and
Yeah.
sure you've been starting out these different businesses, but and that's significant. I'm not undercutting that. But for those of us who have been on this earth a little longer, perhaps, than you, and we've become confident in one field, to totally switch to another can be unsettling.
Yeah.
So what I did is I found a couple of really great communities, and then I discovered Tim Kelly in the True Purpose community
Okay.
and decided to become certified as a True Purpose coach. And
Mm.
that really, really, really helped, because I got centered on my purpose. And that was very natural for me to be aspiring to that, because calling has been important to me since I was in high school.
Okay.
And oh, what am I supposed to do with my law degree? And come on, God, please show me, send me a letter in the mail or something, you know, and how to communicate with God specifically as to what our calling in. That has been just so important to me. And so to discover the True Purpose process in a community that encouraged us to have conversations with God, it's like, yes.
Hmm.
So that was great. But then I had to learn marketing.
Yeah.
So the next
So
thing that
let's
yeah,
before we get into the marketing, Jory, I just want to, kind of bring a couple of things up that I find as I've faced this myself, first of all, and a lot of people that I serve and the people in our communities, they face the same challenges. They go into business, and we're going to get into marketing for sure. But I think that even before then, it's so important to discover, and just like you did, is to discover a purpose, right? Because otherwise, we're just doing business, and hardships come, and you kind of bail out sometimes because you're not connected in this supernatural way. And I think the glue that makes that connection is purpose. Like for me, for example, my first few businesses were mortgage companies. That was not really a part of my purpose. The ability to serve people was. The mortgages, the paperwork, the financial side of things, really, to me, it was more of a business, for profit, not necessarily a bigger purpose for my life. And so I lost everything, obviously the real estate market and things like that. So I was really good in that space, and then suddenly it's gone, and I had to. That's the first time after losing what I say I lost everything I thought was everything, is what I call it, because I didn't lose my faith, right? I didn't lose my wife. I didn't lose my son. I didn't lose the most important things. But going through that, I thought I lost a lot. And I realized that for the first time, now that everything was gone, is I really need to think deep about what my life is about. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business professionals right now don't take the time necessary to discover that purpose, to really identify that. And so there's something missing, and hardships come, And it's a lot easier to walk away from things when you're not in line with your purpose. So before we get into the marketing side of things, and I know you have a lot of value to add there, and I'm really excited to get there, but how does somebody go from, hey, I have a business, to I have a purpose, and the business is the means in me delivering the purpose, whether it's the only means or not, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because the work that I do, what we have found through the True Purpose process, is when you find your purpose, and we define that as your essence, your blessing, your mission, and your message. I could go into that further if you wish. But those four aspects or components of purpose, once you have that, then the beauty of it is, let's say you are in a job right now, then you can ascertain, discern how to take your God-given purpose and apply it to your current circumstances. And your family as well. It's not just your professional life, it's your personal life too. And then, but let's say it's not that great a fit. Your purpose, your God-given purpose with the current job, and you have the ability to look elsewhere, then the beauty is now you know what kind of jobs to look for if you're in the career space and not the entrepreneurial space. If, however, you have been called to start a business, and I think it does need to be a calling, then you know how to find a business that is a good fit with your purpose. Instead of, oh, pick a purpose, any purpose will do, but let it fit my business. I think, you need to have it in order. And that's what you discovered, and it was actually a gift. I know you probably felt a little bit like Job at the time, but it was a gift. I'm not saying the whole mortgage breakdown was a gift to everybody, but for you, it was, in the sense that it gave you the opportunity to look and see, all right, this time let me have a business that is in alignment with my purpose.
It's funny that you mentioned Job, because that's one of the favorite books in the Bible for me, and I relate so much to him. And it's funny, a lot of people miss some key ingredients in Job, and I'll just say this really quick. I've read Job several times, probably a good 8-9 times that I read through Job, and one of the times that I read it, God really put into my life, and at some points when I do Bible studies, I teach on this particular thing, and I said, if you study the book of Job, I believe there's 41 chapters, but the majority of them are him being in this pit, and there's a lot of negative talk, there's a lot of negative people surrounding him, all this negativity, and I said, if we realize first that God is in control of all things and stop the negativity in our lives, and really align ourselves with our purpose again, I wonder if the book of Job would have been 12 chapters instead of 41, because a lot of those chapters were filled with just those times of trial. And I think it's up to us really trusting God to shorten the path of our Job experiences. And for me, it was the same thing when I lost everything. I think I was in that process a lot longer than I should have been or could have been, simply because I didn't really look up to God as quickly as I should have, and looking that He's in control of everything, and there's a purpose even behind that. And so I lost my house and everything like that. But here's how God works with that. What I didn't know is, so I was in the mortgage industry and I lose my house and everything like that. What I didn't know is God would use those things for His purpose too, aside from my purpose, right? He'd use it for His purpose, because after that, I got out of business for a short time, and I went to work at a nonprofit as a foreclosure counselor. So now, after experiencing and surviving a foreclosure, now I'm there serving others and helping them experience success in this difficult process. And I got to say that because of that work, I feel like there was families that were saved, that were hopeful despite the difficult situations, right? And so that's how God works. But we have to be in alignment with, one, His purpose, secondly, our purpose, right? To serve people in a bigger way.
And hopefully those purposes are the same.
Yeah, they should be. They ought to be.
You touch on a really, really, really good point. I know people who think, okay, I'm starting fresh. I'm starting a new career, or I'm starting a business, and I'm just going to leave behind everything that was behind, that I've gone through already, especially the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And if they're coaching with me, I'm saying, no. Let's go after that bad stuff, as you say. That's the gold. Because people can relate to a person who's gone through struggles way more
Yeah.
than they can to a person, oh, everything comes easy, you know, la-di-da, life is great. It's the struggles. And not only that, but it's through the struggles that we discern our true need for God. If we
Yeah.
can do stuff on our own, then where's God in the equation, right?
Exactly. Hmm.
And of course, in the book of Job, Satan was absolutely convinced, hey, give me Job. I'm going to show you what kind of a job I can do on him, right?
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
convinced that Job would then just say, oh, you know, forget it. There is no God. You're right. And Job didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was faithful to the very end, and it ends saying that his latter was greater than the former. So he already had all the wealth, he had the family, he had all this stuff. Everything was taken, and God said, "You know what? Because you've been faithful, I'm going to give you much more." And which is awesome, inspiring, especially for us that are in business, because we want God to find us faithful with our work, the work of our hands. We want Him to be glorified, and He has the capacity to just pour out so much more into our lives. So I love that. So once we define the purpose, now it's really, aligning our life to that purpose. And for many of us, especially the audience here listening to the show here, it's, we're in business because that's part of our overall purpose. Our business is a means to get that purpose across. And so with that in mind, we need
Yeah,
to
it's
know
a
how to
vehicle.
get the message out there.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm sorry?
We do, and of course, Christian Business Academy is an excellent way of doing that, being in touch with you and learning what we can from you, absolutely. But part of what I do is help people get clear in the mission, get clear in their message, and get clear in their marketing strategies. And there's so much out there, Alex, you know that. I mean, Google Plus, is that the new kid on the block? Well, not really, but I think people are realizing how incredible Google Plus is. In fact, as many people know, I am a certified trainer with Daily Marketing Coach, and we just did some incredible training on Google Plus. So I'm excited to be using this platform right now. But there's so many options with social media. There's so many options with article marketing and e-zine marketing, but I don't want people to overlook the absolute importance, in my opinion, of offline marketing. So I like to combine offline marketing with online marketing and do what feels natural. Some things are just a natural fit for people. If they love speaking, for example, then they should be making speaking engagement appointments, right? If they like speaking on the phone, then that would be another way. They can just call up people that they meet and just have a conversation with them. But I really believe you have to do what comes naturally to you and be willing to learn new possibilities, new technologies. You and I were talking about that a little bit, about the importance of technology. Yeah. And you have to be open. And, for some of us, we're in the generation where we didn't go to school with computers, When I was in college, in fact, being a computer programmer major was still sort of like this foreign thing, and I would see people going on campus with these reams of computer paper under their arms. I'm just like, what is that? I mean, if somebody had told me back then that I'd then be talking to you years later in my little MacBook, I wouldn't have believed it. So for those of us who are of my generation, older, a little bit younger, we do have to be willing to learn new things. Well, we all do, but
we all do. Yeah, we all do. Yeah, I mean, I have my goddaughter is she just turned a year old, and she she grabs her father's iPad and he opens it up, knows how to click the app, starts playing the game, and it's like, you're one. I couldn't walk, and here you are, just playing all types of games and messing with electronics, because that's what life is like now. Yep. And what I love about it is that it amplifies our opportunity to get the message out, to impact more lives. So I love that. I also love that you said something to me. It's very powerful, and I remind people of this all the time, because they feel like, there's Twitter, there's email, there's newsletters, there's all this stuff. And what I tell people, which you affirm, so I'm glad you did, is you said we need to focus on the things that really play to our strengths, right? So
Yes.
if we speak, then go out and speak, right? It's not a matter. And I had an interview yesterday for a summit, and they were asking me, for just one or two quick nuggets, and I said that you'll get a lot better results by focusing on the two or three things you could be consistent with than having multiples of things that you're just trying out. It's
Yes.
about the consistency with a few things. So
Absolutely.
I would rather be great with two marketing strategies and be consistent with it, and I'm constantly working them, than have 15 different strategies and none of them are consistent, and it's simply a quantity thing, and there's no quality there. So I
I'm
love the
really
fact that you
glad.
said that we got to play
Yeah.
even more specific. Don't just focus on the key strategies, but focus on the strategies that play to your strength.
Yes, and if I may give an example of that, which is a little bit of a plug, but I remember one time I was in Susan Whitcomb's career coaching class, and she said, "Get out an index card and just write a few of the things that you would like to be doing within the next year or two. Just dream big." And
Yeah.
one of the things that I wrote was radio show, but what I was thinking of was, well, maybe someday I can be a guest on a radio show. And within 2 weeks, I was receiving an invitation. At the time, it was from Voice America, to not be a guest, but to be a host of my
Wow.
own radio show. Well, of course, that was great marketing on their part because I had to pay, right? So they were they were looking for people that they thought might be able to carry on a good conversation. So I started that radio show, and that would have been, I think it was fall of 2009.
Okay.
And I switched platforms. I'm now with Blog Talk Radio, and I'm a featured host on Blog Talk Radio. But I've been consistent with my radio show ever since then.
Hmm.
And for 3 years, I think, it was every week. And then in 2012, I switched to twice a month because I have so many other things going on. But the point is, I am consistent.
Yeah.
And I have now a very strong following with my radio show. And I'm trying to do that with blogging. I was one of those who started a blog and then I stopped. But now I've started it up again. And Eric Walker of Daily Marketing Coach, he's our blogger guy who's just cracking the whip and saying, look, you need to be consistent. And he's so right. If you start out saying, oh, I'm going to write a blog post 5 days a week, it's kind of like a diet, oh, well, I'm just going to be perfect and I'm going to lose 3 pounds a week. Well, if you don't, then you get all messed up, and then you
completely stop. Yeah.
stop
You're
everything,
like
right?
overcome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
I told myself, okay, I can do one blog post a week. If I set a goal of 3 to 5, I'm not going to be consistent. I have too many
Yeah.
other things going on. But I can do one. And then you make a sacred appointment, a divine appointment to write that blog post, right? So, for me, it'll be blogging, and it is the radio show, and I have a couple of other things that I do. But, for me to try to be keeping up, for you to be trying to keep up with everything, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I was one of those that actually I used to blog a lot, and I was on kind of the opposite spectrum. I had about 6 different blogs I was running,
Oh,
and it got overwhelming because I'm like, okay, which one am I going to focus on this week? And then next week was a different one, and then I was not building momentum, so I was doing a whole lot of work and not really building to anything long term. It was just getting busy with things. And what I noticed especially when I started blogging and it's not very consistent, it's maybe 2 or 3 posts a month at this point, for the Christian Business Academy, I want to make sure that it's valuable. But aside from that, I started spending more time on promoting the blog posts as opposed to just writing stuff and hoping people will find it. And what happens is I got, for a pretty brand new blog over the last couple months, I think maybe 2 months ago I started it. And again, it doesn't have tons of content out there, but because I market it, I have more shares than that. Not comments so much. I'm still working on the comment side. But as far as the shares, the social shares and things like that, and the social interaction based on the blog posts, it has been more for the Christian Business Academy than any other blog that I've done before, even on my personal site. And it's simply because I've been more targeted on marketing that content that I've created. I want to get the most out of the time that I'm spending creating this great content. So one is, create the great content that's shareable, and 2 is get it out there to people that that it'll be of value too. And that's made a huge difference.
It is. And the last time I was on YouTube with you, Jason was saying he takes 20% of his time to create the content and 80% to promote it.
Yeah, it makes total sense. It makes a huge difference. Maybe it doesn't make sense because traditionally, blogging is keep putting information out there and blog and blog, and nobody really speaks about the promotion of it. And so that's why so many people are disillusioned by blogging, because they're not really getting much interaction. Well, you're not marketing it, and it really comes back to, the three things that you said is you need to know, the one thing that we're focusing on right now of your three things is the marketing side of things. You've got to get it out there. Exactly. Otherwise, you're limiting the audience.
Well, you know what? You just gave me another P, because my three words are purpose, performance, prosperity. I think I'm going to have to for promotion.
Exactly. Yeah, hey, no, absolutely. So let's as we're winding down here, what are two or three? I mean, you're talking about you starting your blog. You've been consistent with the radio.
Yep.
What are two or three things that our Christian businesses or Christian professionals here can start doing that you don't have to have a whole lot of knowledge to get going, but these are marketing strategies that are proven and they work to for literally any type of business. In your opinion, with your expertise, what are those two or three marketing strategies that any business can tap into right away to start getting results?
Okay. Well, first, since we are speaking to Christians here, I would definitely say another P is prayer. I think it's very important to start out each morning with purposeful practices, I call them. And for me, that absolutely includes, reading the Bible and other devotionals and praying. And so it may be kind of funny to think about that with respect to marketing, but Alex, I think it's critical because, I ask God each morning, please show me whom I can serve today, how can I serve them, how can I get my message out, and just kind of bless my office space so that I can be purposeful and inspirational. So I don't think that's something to be taken lightly, really. However, whatever else you have going on in your day, for me, it's just really important to do it first thing, or I'll get distracted. I'll have my quiet time at 3 in the afternoon. No.
Yeah, that's when chaos begins.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right about that. I agree with that. And we have to, how are we going to have the power that we need if we're not plugged in? And that morning ritual is our time to plug in and get recharged. Our cell phones need recharging. Our electronics need recharging. What makes us think as Christians that we don't need that same thing? We have the capacity to plug into the light.
Yeah.
And yet for some of us, we just haven't, or we don't. And I'm all about grace, right? The Bible says my grace is sufficient. So it's not about, okay, I haven't done it, so now I'm no, start today. Today's the best day to start. If you didn't do it yesterday, no guilt. The Bible says there's no condemnation. That's right. What that means is forget what you haven't done in the past. You haven't read your word consistently, prayed. Good. Start today. God is a forgiving God, and He loves you regardless of your activities.
There you go.
So I love that. Yeah.
You gave me another P, Alex. Plug in.
Plug in. Yeah. That's a good. You know what? We should partner on a coaching program on how to plug in.
Yes.
I don't know that.
That would be great.
Yeah. So we have prayer.
Yeah, with respect to marketing, and I'm not even going to try to find P words for this. But as a certified trainer for daily marketing coach, I absolutely have to emphasize how important it is to have a blog/website where you can add your own content. Sadly, when my first 2 or 3 websites, I was not able to do that. Everything on my website, I had to go through a web person, and now that's not the case. I mean, sure, for design and all that, I need help, but I know how to post my own blogs and blog posts and things like that. So absolutely, to have a workable blog where you can add your own content, and we also teach having. We kind of jokingly refer to it as an ethical bribe, but an enticement of sorts to get people to put their name and email address right there, hopefully right there on your welcome page, your home page, because you want to start building your list and you want to start building community.
Yeah.
And we've heard this before, you know, if someone doesn't know, like, and trust you, why should they do business with you? You might be offering business coaching, business mentoring. You might be part of an MLM or something. Well, guess what? So are thousands and thousands of other people. So why should they do business with you? It's because they can relate to you. They know, like, and trust you. So you want to build that list so that you can do an even better job of establishing the relationship you have with those who trust you enough to give you their name and email address, right? So your ethical bribe or your enticement needs
I call it the goods. I call it the goods. Hey, give people the goods. Give them the goods.
Okay, the free goods, the goodies. It needs to be something that relates to the people whom you are meant to serve. And this goes back to purpose. If I were to have goods that spoke to, well, my husband's an engineer, spoke to all that stuff he's interested in, and they put in their name and email address, I wouldn't be able to serve them, because after they did, I wouldn't know what to do with them, you know? So my goods relate to something that I believe that women, Christian women in particular, entrepreneurs, need help with. So you want your enticement to be something that would be helping solve a problem for those people that you feel called to serve. So those would be a couple of tips right there.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, as we wrap up the half hour here, I wanted to make sure that we had a moment to share with you what you're up to in the next couple of weeks. I know that you have something very special coming up, and I want to give you an opportunity to share that, because I feel that you have such tremendous value to deliver. I mean, just in the short time that we've known each other, maybe a couple months now, you know, it's just been such a valuable relationship that we've forged over time. And I know that it's not even stopping here. We're going to continue finding ways to work together and collaborating, right? Because that's the value of being in this Christian business environment, is collaboration. It's not competition here. At least it shouldn't be. So tell me about what you have coming up in the next couple of weeks, and how you're helping entrepreneurs out there create a more substantial business.
I'd be happy to. Well, my co-coach is Beth Scanzani, and she also is a certified True Purpose coach. We've known each other for several years now, and she and I are just finishing up another one of our Discover Your True Purpose group coaching programs, and then we're taking a couple weeks break, and then on May 16th, I think. Anyway, in a couple of weeks, I believe it's May 16th, we are starting up another program, and this one is called Performance. So it's Peak Performance. If you go to joryfisher.com/peak-performance, and I believe you can put that, oh good, you put the link over there. Thank you, Alex.
Yes.
And you will see that we are inviting you to another 8-week teleseminar for Christian women entrepreneurs, where we're going to be focusing on, for those of you who already know your purpose or have a pretty clear understanding of, or an inkling and intuition as to what your purpose is, then great. Now it's time to really get productive and bring about all that you're meant to bring about. And there are just so many things that you need to consider in order to be productive. In fact, this was so sweet. I had a couple of ladies in my daily marketing coach community comment to me just this morning, how is it that you're always so productive? Thank you. How great. Because I'm going to be teaching on that, coaching on that. But anyway, it is, I mean, you really have to look at physiology. You know, what are you doing to stay healthy? What are you doing to make sure you have enough water and enough good nutrition? I mean, all of that is so important. We got to keep the temple healthy, right?
Absolutely.
And psychology, that is critical. If you are just really struggling with limiting beliefs, which would include fear and doubt, then it's going to be difficult for you to get up in the morning and just go charging forth, right? So psychology and physiology are absolutely critical. So we help you put, we call them purposeful practices into place. And of course we have just the support of community. It's a small group. We only have 8 people, seats for 8 people, because we focus very intently on those 8 people. So it's all about getting people so that they can be optimum or peak performers, and hopefully integrate their purpose into their business. So we hope you will join us, and we do have specials for those who join early and or bring a friend.
Excellent. That's awesome. So once again, joryfisher.com/peak-performance. I'm going to put the link on the YouTube video once I upload it. It's going to be on the site, so I'll make sure that I get that out there. Jory, it's been such a pleasure. I know we covered a lot in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I'm so happy that you were able to make time for us here, and we've added a lot of value here. And I'm sure that at some point in the near future, I'm going to bring you back on, and we're going to get more specifics about your marketing strategy. I'd love to learn more about your Blog Talk Radio podcast. So I'd love to learn more about that. So there's just tons more we can speak about. So
excellent.
Thank you for joining us.
God bless you and all of your listeners. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you, Alex. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And make sure you check out the Christian Business Academy, where we educate you, we inform you, we empower you to go out there, create an awesome business so that it gives you the freedom to create not only a better life at home with your loved ones, but go out in the world and make a bigger impact. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Christian Business Academy Show. And until next time, be blessed and highly favored.